Alright, so I quickly wanted to talk about some of the games from the Guerrilla Games Fest that was just held, and I have, I have a list of things I want to try out and I find to be interesting, and I just want to talk about some of them with you all, and I hope you'll enjoy talking about, listen to me talk about them and then commenting what you think yourself, and we can have a little conversation about it. So let's get all into it and see what happens. Now, the first one we need to talk about is Forgotlings. Forgotlings is a 2D action game where you'll be playing as a sentient doll in a world where humans have vanished and there's a bunch of other sentient objects. And it looks really pretty. It reminds me almost in style of Spirit Wayfarer, one of my favorite games of all time, with slightly more action and some minigames, and it looks really fun. You can do anywhere from stealth according to the Steam page, and well, anywhere from stealth to head-on combat, or you can just, vibe and adventure, and that's what it's all about, right? Like, this game looks fantastic. The description itself is Forgotlings is a breathtaking cinematic action adventure game set in the magical land of sentient forgotten objects. And that to me is super interesting. I love the exploration of some of these games, especially games where you sort of explore these forgotten areas and so on, ruins. It's always super interesting to me, and it's why Forgotlings really piqued my interest, because here I just don't explore the ruins, I become one with the ruins. And you know what, I'm all about that. But that being said, I think we should swiftly move on to the next game. Next up is a really cozy puzzle game called Europa. And it's set on the moon Europa, not the continent on Earth Europa. And it looks like a Studio Ghibli movie. It is extremely breathtakingly pretty as well, and it's one of those games that have me peaked purely on visuals. Because I love Studio Ghibli. I love the movies they make. I love the visuals that they have, as they are very, very unique. And this is perfectly capturing it in game form. And I'm all about that. The description itself on Steam is: on the moon Europa, a lush terraformed paradise in the shadow of Jupiter, an android named C sets out in search of answers, run, glide across the landscape, solve mysteries in the ruins of the fallen utopia, and discover the story of the last humans alive. And then it's just the Steam page, and it's all pretty good. It's extremely breathtaking to look at, and I think that's gonna be the main selling point for me. And it's one that I don't mind, because I am somebody who, if a game has a good art style, is a complete sucker for it. And Europa really does. Super Space Club is a lo-fi minimalistic space shoot 'em up. It looks like a twin-stick shooter on paper. It is described as a chill to shoot game, however, which I have no idea what means, but I'm interested, if nothing else than for the very unique art style and the music, because the music is this lo-fi mix of a bunch of different genres, and I am honestly super for it. It's all of it, and I want it pretty badly. On Steam, in the description, it is described as such: Super Space Club is a lo-fi arcade space shoot to chill game. Defend a vibrant galaxy as a club of misfit heroes and battle an endless wave of spacecrafts to the tune of atmospheric beats. Outlast your enemies and vibe to the rhythm of the stars. And honestly, if you watch the trailer, I can 100% say it fulfills those roles pretty well. It's one of those that I think I'll play a little bit and then probably drop off for a while, but I think it is gonna be such a good game, and I think it's definitely gonna have a audience. And now it's time to practice your RuneScape typing skills, because next up we have Leximan. Leximan is a game where you are apparently playing as a wizard in a very very comedic, cute, and interesting art style and game. On Steam, it literally has the tag comedy, so it has to be funny. And honestly, the gameplay itself looks pretty fun, as it looks like a somewhat actiony typing game, which I've never really seen before, but I'm all there for it. On top of that, it looks incredibly unique visually, with an art style that reminds me of this weird combination of Undertale and Everhood, two of my favorite games as well. And honestly, I think that is gonna be enough for me to really check it out. And the soundtrack is also banging. It's a bobbing soundtrack, but the real deal breaker here is gonna be the writing in the game. And honestly, I'm hoping for the best here. I am positively optimistic about it, but I wouldn't go out and say pre-order here either. But definitely do go and check out some trailers and stuff for it. So up next is Demonschool. Demonschool reminds me a lot of Persona, which is yet again a game that I love. All of them, like all of the Persona games, they're all good, and all games I'd highly recommend. But Demonschool is a game where you play as some teenagers on a demon school. Your job is gonna be to, in a tactical RPG style, defeat the demons and win back your school. And it all looks really good. The graphical design of it is really what's got me peaked, as it looks both sorta anime but in a more western style, while also having some fully 3D figures on top of that. Like, it's this weird combination of a bunch of things. It also looks to have some form of life simulator style of thing, like gameplay, just like Persona. And honestly, that's a pretty big turn on for me. I love it. And graphically, it is pixel art-ish, but it has some real horrific and weird monsters that honestly are selling me on it. The Steam description itself is this: Demonschool is a new style tactic RPG when motion equals action. Defeat big weirdos in between the human and demon worlds as fair and her misfit companions while navigating the university life on a mysterious island. I honestly think it's a pretty easy sell for me, and it's a game that I'm really interested in. Up next is SacriFire. SacriFire on Steam is described as a modern JRPG inspired game with a unique battle system, rich story, and fantastic visual and music by Mucho, which I probably completely butchered, but don't worry about it. It itself is a pixel art game that has that gorgeous style that Octopath Traveler have, and I am sold on the style alone. The unique battle system they're talking about is a system that manages to combo both turn-based and real-time combat, and it is something that I am definitely interested in to see how it works, as I am personally into both of those. Not to mention, the game looks gorgeous. The story itself is probably going to be somewhat interesting, as most JRPGs tend to have a pretty decent story, and honestly, I'm personally all about it. I loved what they showed off in the trailer, and I think this is going to be right up my alley, as I do love these fantasy worlds. Now for another game that I'm deeply interested in, that is both dystopian and does take some political views up, is the Corponation. Corponation is a game where you'll be sorting genetic samples and using the money that you buy to decorate your rooms while being persuaded into quote-unquote disobeying the company and betraying your beloved employer. The game itself is described as follows on Steam. Greetings, valued employee. You have been tasked with sorting the Ringo Corporation's genetic samples. With the credits that you earn, you can shop, game, and pay your bills on time. Rogue workers might try to entice you into betraying our beloved employer, but we know you will give it your 110%. Because this game is literally just that. It is a very anti-corporation game, clearly, that I am really looking forward to playing because it looks awesome. And we can swiftly move on to the next one. Now, for another game that was shown off before, that I at least knew about before, from a series that I think I am not alone in knowing. Kingdom 80s is a game set in the 80s where you build up a little base and defend it against monsters. You then go out to, grab resources and come back to build your base. And that's literally it. If you've ever played a Kingdom game, you know exactly how these function. You have a 2D grid that you can go across to gather resources, mainly in form of coins that you then use to build stuff, upgrade your lands, and get ready for, defending them. This is in the 80s, that's the main selling point of it, in comparison to the other ones. Also, you have a dog. And that's really all I have to say on it. It's one of those things where I've played the other Kingdom games, I like them, and I know I will like this. So there you go. Up next, a game I also want to talk about is Little Guardsman. Little Guardsman is a game akin to Papers, Please, where you will be, in a point-and-click style, be either sending people through to jail or sending them back to where they came from. The main twist here is that they'll also add an exploration element, and this entire game it's extremely cute. On Steam it's described as such. Imagine you're 12-year-old suddenly in charge of a guard shed in the castle gate where you decide if elves, goblins and 100 plus other characters should be admitted. It's wonderful combination of deduction and narrative puzzle games, And that's literally it, right? The entire game is just you sitting there, going yes or no to people, and on top of that you will be having some form of exploration and puzzle solving on top of that. You'll be able to go around and see the kingdom and see the effects of your choices. I'd imagine it's the goal here. And it looks really fun to play. There's a demo available now, you can go and play if you're interested. And other than that, we can just move on to the next one. Next up we have Nivalis. Nivalis is a life simulator set in a cyberpunk city where you can run either of many businesses, either restaurants or whatever you really want. Nightclubs is the ones that are being mentioned in the description. It's an extremely unique looking game, but it also has a really nice vibe to it that I really enjoy. The game's description on Steam is grow your business, manage restaurants and nightclubs and make friends and enemies. Buy and decorate apartments, go fishing and maybe even find love in Nivalis, the city that stretches from ocean to the clouds. It's one of those cyberpunk cities that has this great aesthetic to it that I really can't get enough of. I don't exactly know how to put words on it, but it looks so pretty. It is really well made. In the trailers they showed off at the festival, there were a lot of motion capture, which actually surprised me for a smaller game. And honestly, it's one that I'm deeply interested in, so I'd highly suggest you go and give it a check if you haven't seen the trailer. And yeah. Next up we have Hard Abyss. Hard Abyss is a 2D side-scroller that reminds me a lot of Katana Zero, whereas in Katana Zero you play as a guy with a katana, no shit. Here you play as a foxman that can punch the shit out of people. The game itself looks extremely gory and bloody, and I am all here for it. It looks to be Katana Zero, but more. Honestly, it looks a lot like Katana Zero, and that's a absolute compliment, as that is one of the singular best side-scrolling action games ever. If you do combat like Katana Zero, you have sold me, and I'd suggest you at least go and give the trailer a watch. Next up we have a game called Everholm. Everholm is, or at least looks to be, a pseudo lifestyle sim thing that combines that with some action RPG style thing, and it looks incredibly fun. It looks to be the type of thing where you go in like Stardew Valley, you'll grow some crops, you'll get that ready, you'll like learn the folk around you, you learn to talk to people, then you go out adventuring. It actually reminds me a lot of it graphically as well, however this game is much more minimalistic, something which I really enjoy. I find it to be both in the way that it looks and gameplay to be a little bit minimalistic, and honestly I'm all about it. The description on Steam reads, Lily was spirited away to a mysterious island. As her memories fade, everyone seems to know her and her quest for her missing sister. It is time to establish a homestead, meet your friendly everfolks, then learn their secrets and solve the mystery of Everholm in this open-ended minimalistic RPG. If that at all sounded interesting to you, go and check out the trailer for Everholm. It's really worth it. Now, next up we have Critter Crops. Critter Crops is one of those games that look incredibly cozy and cute, and I think it will be exactly that. It's a game that I'm definitely looking forward to playing, as it is again another farming sim with some life elements and some combat, and it looks pretty cute. In Critter Crops you'll be growing, well, critters as crops, and the description on Steam reads as follows. Enter the world of Mother Islands as Sylvia, a newfound witch with the ability to grow magical critters. Restore the island, welcome the unwelcome, and uncover the mysterious past of Sylvia, the main character. And it looks really fun and cute, and honestly it looks kind of weird in a good way. It's like one of those games where I'm positively optimistic about trying it out when it drops, just for the visuals, because it is that unique. So yeah, moving on to the next one. Next up we have one that I'll most likely butcher. It's called Akatori, I hope. And it is a 2D side-scroller that, in terms of graphics, reminds me a little bit of Iconoclast, and it's been described as having a really nice story and a fast-paced combat system. Two things which I am all about. Visually, it is gorgeous and something that I am all into the entire way. And I am definitely gonna check it out in terms of the theme description. It is help a young Mako save the world while gracefully switching between two parallel dimensions in this fantastic Metroidvania slasher platformer. Explore the world full of magic and secrets. Find friends and allies and try not to let the ancient guards awake. It does have some of the cosmic horror elements that I'm also all about, and you know what? I think it's one of those games that I just gotta give it a go when it comes out. So the next one is pseudo self-explanatory. It's called Outbreak Island. It's why you play on an island, no shit. That has an outbreak, also no shit. In terms of the gameplay itself, it's a survival crafting sandbox game. You can actually sort of akin it to 7 Days to Die, where you'll be building a base and defending it for the hordes of monsters. In this one, however, you'll also be uncovering the story as you go, apparently. And you'll also be, listening to some good old music, as they did play an absolute banger in the trailer for the game. The Steam description is as follows, and it is, well, this. Survive on a remote island where a mysterious outbreak awakens. Bloodthirsty monsters at night. Craft, build, and defend your base in the brutal world of an outbreak island, an open-world sandbox survival horror game. It does sort of combine some of the things that I like about games like Minecraft, which is base building and, protecting your stuff and crafting, in a more horror setting, which is something that I'm looking forward to. It's definitely one of those games that I have on my list now after I've seen that. Next up, we have a game with an absolute banger of a soundtrack called I Am Future. I Am Future is a cozy survival game as well, that it does have the sandbox elements and, some farming stuff. You'll literally just be relaxing on rooftop, decorating it, while also farming it and scavenging for food, as you sort of rebuild, the last bit of human civilization. It looks incredibly cute and aesthetically looks incredibly fine. I love the looks of it. In the trailer itself, they're actually playing a song, and I'm not sure if I'll get copyright struck for playing it, so we just warned, just in case. And otherwise, it just looks really good. It does have some stuff that looks fairly generic, but mostly it looks incredibly pretty, and it has a lot of elements I like, such as the humor in the trailers. The trailers are legitimately funny at times, and I think that's something that will carry over to the game. In terms of the Steam description, it says, I'm viewed as a relaxing survival game about building a cozy rooftop camp amid a flooded post-apocalyptic city. Set up a farm, cook delicious food, dismantle tools for crafting resources, automate chores by recruiting cute robots, and uncover the mysteries behind the catastrophe. And you know what? I'm all about that. I like that. It sounds really fun to do. So yeah, it's why I've made, my list of games that I'm looking forward to from the event. Next up is Slime 3K. Slime 3K is another set of the survival-like. If you've ever played Vampire Survivors, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where you'll be starting out as one guy, that'll then get a bunch of abilities that'll make it into a bullet hell and so on. However, the big twist here is that you're playing as a slime, you're somewhat slow, however you seem to have guns, so that doesn't really matter at that point. It is definitely a survival-like, which honestly I'm all for. I love those kind of games, they're nice for just turning off your brain. The roguelike survivor. So, in terms of the Steam description, it is the goo that used to artificially grow humans has become self-aware and risen up against its creator. Devour humans, grow weapons from your body, fight against everything, and challenge the despot himself. So, it's definitely out there. It's a new concept that I haven't really seen being done before, but it's not a concept I'm necessarily against. So it's one of those things I'll look forward to giving a go when it comes out. And last but not least, we have Novalands. Novalands is a game that very much so reminds me of Forger, which is to say it's a cutesy top-down automation type of game, where you'll be building a base only for it to eventually be fully automated by robots to do your work and just, in general have a really good time with it. It does have boss battles and roguelike mechanics like combat and stuff, but honestly all of it looks really nice. In terms of the Steam description, it is Novalands is a factory, exploration, and island management game. Explore, engage in combat, and automate your industry. The planet you're on is full of mysteries, creatures, people, and things to do. Welcome to a new home amongst the stars. And that's like the description for it. It looks really interesting, it sounds really interesting, and I'm all about it. So I'll, probably give it a go. Alright, that's it. I just wanted to give my thoughts on which games that I'm looking forward to from the expo. So I hope you enjoyed your time here. If you did, leave a like, comment, and all that stuff. And honestly, if you didn't, then don't worry about it. Your time is more than enough for me. I'm just happy you wanted to spend a couple of minutes here with me today. So have a very good night from me. It is almost 2 AM. I'm gonna go and sleep. Good night, everyone, and have a very nice day.